Now, what this starts to bring into play of what I started writing down is I think that there are three types of knowledge in the game world. And there's base knowledge that most people would know. There's personal knowledge that individual characters know based upon their life experiences or their jobs or like their class, whatever their training is. And then there's discovered knowledge that we discover throughout the course of the game. Now, discovered knowledge can also fall into the category of, combat knowledge of what is this creature's abilities and whatnot. But I say base, but really it's general. It's everybody knows this. And then when it comes to general knowledge, having a living document has been so helpful for all of the new campaigns that I'm now starting. It's wonderful because then all the players that have access to one right now that's it's mostly finished, even as it's evolving, have said, it's so good for me to just go, oh yeah, who's that? And then go back to the document. They have it open right next to them, and they'll be taking their own notes and whatnot. But and writing and getting their notes is their own preferences. But to have general knowledge grounds the world and gives them launching points to be able to say, oh, the relationship between angels and devils is important in this setting. This is what I know about it. So the fact there's an angel here right now is a big freaking deal. Or this is completely normal and I shouldn't freak out. But then to have personal knowledge, to have I have personalized documents for all of my players now, at least for Gray Owls, and then I'll have them for Dark Owls soon. And that's been super helpful because now they're specialists in those areas. And then if it's new-ish to them, or it's a detail that wasn't quite present, or maybe they're missing it, I can whisper that to them. And then what I'm finding that a lot of my, especially the teenage players, are here for is the discovered knowledge, because it takes the holes in their specific and their personal knowledge and the general knowledge. It takes the holes and fills them in. And anytime I do a lore drop, someone sent me a picture of like their character superimposed in front of a giant board of sticky notes and like red lines across them, just going, oh, it all makes sense now. And they're here for that. They're here for that, the discovery of what's going on, or what was the hidden knowledge that now fills in that missing piece that they've been looking for this whole time. Maybe not even looking for, just I didn't know it was there, and now I see it. And all of that being said, that is a lot of planning. It's a lot of planning. It's a lot of having things ready to go, and then there's a lot of things in there that can be unplanned that you sort of make up together, you cooperatively create, but then that does need to be documented somewhere so that if it comes back later, we don't lose it. And I can see where this is based on the amount of world building that I do on a daily basis. I think that having these three knowledges is extremely important for my own comfort level, because it grounds the world and I think helps give my players agency that they can act on and discover things from a place of strength. And what this also boils into is I think we mentioned it a podcast or two ago of, talk like you live here. If characters talk like they live here, then they have working knowledge. They might have slang, they might have, but it isn't just, I am the hero and I walk into this town that I've lived in for 30 years, but I have no idea how it works. It's a lot better. How's it going, Hotman? Hey, Hotman. We're not, it's, whereas you would know, oh, David Crosswind is the local tailor. Ames is the smith. You grew up with him. He's been there since you were born. And if the player already knows that going in, how does that then change their interactions? Instead of going, hello, Mr. Blacksmith, how are you today? oh, hey, Johnny, how's mom? Instead, it's, hey, Ames, I need some leather boots. Oh, yeah, sure, man, you'll get, oh, yeah, I know, it's for you, buddy. It's 10 gold off, because there's a relationship there, there's established rapport, and of course, this isn't of course they would know them, of course they would understand them. There's a lot of then implied and inferential knowledge from that allows a more immersive experience. Instead of, I am NPC man, yes, this is my hometown, but I don't know anyone in it. Who is that guy? Who is that guy? Do I know them? And instead of asking those questions, the player already knows them, or already has a reference to fall back on that says, I do know this. Then the things they don't know become more significant. And I think that's the powerful part there. Why so many of my players just thrive on that discoverable knowledge is because it's more valuable. Instead of just, I need to discover everything because I don't understand anything, it becomes, I understand quite a bit, but I'm missing these key points and I need to figure them out because they have value. It changes the value structure a lot more. It's more work, I think, for the DM. And if you're a pants DM, this might be hard, or might require a bit of bookkeeping on the fly. But I do think it simplifies things at the onset and it's going to increase your immersion tremendously for yourself and for your players, because you'll have all a working knowledge of, this is what this setting is. This is what has happened in it. This is the history. And if they don't know, if I've got an amnesiac character, that's fine. Now they're discovering quite a lot. But maybe their personal knowledge is the binding thread, because they only remember like the last 3 days and they remember them pristinely. And then how engaging is that if they've chosen that path to then discover this world again and try to form new conclusions instead of just the old hat model.
That's very powerful, understanding the knowledge that your characters value, because that means when you build the world, you can build it around your players' preferred knowledge. So like you were mentioning it, that's a brilliant distinction between, general knowledge, personal knowledge, and discovered knowledge. And as soon as you said it, I realized that the reason that Solomon, who's like my Witcher build, is my favorite character is because the amount of personal knowledge he has, right? He's got a plus 14 to Arcana. He's got a plus 14 to nature. So he's got a plus 17 to perception. Like nothing gets by him. So, like the immersive, like what you were talking about, Adam, with like knowing the blacksmith and knowing them personally, that is immersive knowledge. That's personal knowledge. And you need to set that up ahead of time for players to leverage. But if your Shadowfell crew likes discovered knowledge more, which Ian also said, it might not be amnesiac. It might just be that they're in a land they're not familiar with. So it could be that I was born on the Western continent, but now I'm on the Eastern continent. Like, or like Curse of Strahd, I almost prefer the stuck in a portal method of like, there's some weird thing happening in this place in the world that I'm used to. We go to investigate. The weird things happening are a result of a planar rift with this demi-plane. And now we're stuck here and we have to get home. But because we're stuck here, the rules don't work like we're used to. So now all of it is discovered knowledge, because you're constantly discovering what's happening with the world. Now the players don't have to do a lot of prep work themselves to understand how this new world works, So actually for that campaign in particular, I prefer the portal opens up and we get sucked in method over it's a natural part of the world, because now the part of horror is knowing that you can't know it. It's once you know what the rules are, it's no longer horror because it's not scary. The fear is in the unknown.
Thank you so much for listening to some of our podcast highlights. This podcast is part of the Darkmoor Podcast Network. If you want to support the content creators, feel free to visit our Patreon. And please, game responsibly.